I feel like I'm suffocated by my relationship, I can't be myself anymore. Me, F, 22 my partner, M, 39 relationship length, 4 years. I'm not exactly sure where to start, but I think one thing is very important to note. I've been in 4 relationships in total, but all of them started out of pity, for a lack of a better word. They all were alone and wanted to start a relationship with me, and I just winged it, as in start a relationship now, catch feelings later. And I only ever held affection for them, I don't think I ever really fell in love with them. My current relationship started the same way. I just finished school, lived with my parents and got to know him through a video game, like every previous relationship. We talked and I learned that he was lonely, wanted a relationship. So I let him convince me to move out of my parents' house, move across the country and into his apartment after being in a relationship with him for 4 months, having visited him a couple times before. He was and still is very caring, affectionate and loving. I was very happy the first year, finally escaping the clutches of my, probably gaslighting, parents, having my first job, etc. We always did everything together and that was great. At first. If I was so happy, then what's the problem now? To summarize, he's very clingy, needs to do everything together, can't bear having to busy himself, is very controlling and maybe a little manipulative if he doesn't get his way. What do I mean? Some examples are, I can't play single player games or multiplayer games that he doesn't play. If I do, he mopes, doesn't know what he should do in the meantime and tells me he hates it when I do that. If I want to eat at a different time or something that he doesn't eat, he complains and gets mopey because then we can't eat together, because he would need to find something to eat for himself, because he'd need to eat alone or eat while I am not eating but still present. So I concede and we eat something together. I've always slept a lot. I've been struggling with sleepiness for the last couple years. I fall asleep at work, while I'm playing, while watching video games. I'm pretty much constantly tired. At first I just slept whenever I felt like it, but he didn't like being alone and bored again, because he can't find things to do alone. So I stopped sleeping during the day. We go to bed only together. So instead of going to bed at 10 p.m., as an example, like any normal person and like I used to when I was still living with my family, we go to bed at 2 a.m., getting up at 9 a.m. for work. I don't care that he doesn't need as much sleep. When I have a day off when he needs to work, I try to get up at a decent time to do things I normally can't do, only to get woken up at 6 p.m. because I slept the whole fucking day. I'm just so damn tired. But he doesn't respect that. He thinks that you can get used to any sleeping schedule. He doesn't understand that everyone has different needs for sleep. Understandably, my family had and still has issues with this relationship. He's a lot older, works at a minimum wage job, is overweight. Not the ideal partner for your daughter, I get it. There have been lots of arguments and it was and still is very stressful for me. Since they're so far away, I can't just visit them for an evening. I usually stay a couple of days. When I go visit them, I get an earful of how I'll be gone so long from him. He doesn't want me to go there. I've already cancelled some plans to go to my parents' place because of him, even though I wanted to go there. Also, speaking of the age gap, at first it wasn't much of a problem. Of course you think about what will happen once you both become older. 17 years difference is a lot. I had to accept that he'll most likely die a long time before me, especially since he used to smoke so much and did a lot of drugs when he was younger. What added to that later was that he started mentioning having a family of our own. More and more often over the years. It's gotten to the point where I'm asked pretty much weekly when we'll have a baby. I'm 22. I've been pretty much sheltered and caged in for 18 years of my life until I moved out. I just got my first job. The first 3 years were an apprenticeship, something in my country as an alternative to university where you work and go to school, where you graduate for that certain job. So I've been working full-time and earning full-time only for 1 year. I can finally afford my own stuff. I just started living. I can't just give that whole freedom, or whatever this is, since I can't decide what I want to do in my free time, when I go to sleep or when I want to eat. and dedicate all of that to a child. I'm not ready yet. And the more he pressures me, the less I want to become a mother. So, you're probably thinking, well then, just dump him. And I've been so much pressured and suffocated that at this point, I'd like to do that. I've never been on my own before and I want to experience that. And now comes the big fat but. I can't just leave him. For one, I still care greatly about him. Also, he's turning 40 this year and his greatest wish is to have a child of his own. I can imagine that finding a new partner at this age and having another child with them might be difficult. Also, since he's not earning much and still paying off some debt, which I'm helping with, it might be difficult to find a woman who accepts that. Also, he's so emotionally attached to me. I don't think he'd survive me leaving him. I just don't know what to do. If I should try to fix this and how. I told him already that I want to wait before I have children. He's scared he won't be able to have any if he waits much longer. I've told him I need some space alone sometimes, to read, play games, sleep. But he starts getting mopey every time. So I give in. Do what he wants. I don't really have a sex drive anymore, but he does, a lot. So we have sex sometimes when he bothers me too much about being so horny. I'm not sure if I have depression or maybe a bipolar disorder. I don't want to self-diagnose, but I've noticed some signs: tiredness, no motivation, concentration, weird appetite, loss in interest of things I usually enjoy, sometimes suicidal thoughts, sometimes it's better, sometimes worse. I've never been to a doctor because of that and I don't know if I have the strength to do so. I'm not sure if he notices how manipulative he can be and if that's by intent or if that's just the way he is. I feel so cornered. I can't leave him but I also can't stay, at least not like this. Maybe I can fix the behavior, but I can't fix his age. I can't fix that he wants a child before he's too old. What would you suggest I do? Too long didn't read. My boyfriend is suffocating me with the constant need for attention and is unable to keep himself busy alone. I can't control what I want to do in my free time. When I go to sleep, when I want to eat, I always give in to his wishes. He is pressuring me to have children, because he's scared he won't be able to have children if he gets any older. I'm getting anxiety attacks thinking about the future. I can't really leave him because he's so emotionally and somewhat financially attached and reliant on me. What can I do? (22, 39, 4 years). Everything I needed to hear. You've been groomed. All of the reasons you listed for why you can't leave him are things about him, not reasons for you to be in the relationship. This grown-ass man presumably got along fine without you until he was 35, he'll figure something out. He is not your responsibility. Where did you learn that you could be solely responsible for another adult's well-being? He is controlling and is trying to control you further by forcing you to have a child with him, which would ensure you have to maintain some kind of connection for the next 18 years. Whatever birth control you're using right now, you need to make sure you're in charge of it. Get an IUD or Nexplanon, something he can't sabotage or take away. All of this depression and fatigue, I'll bet good money that it lifts a lot when you escape and start living your own life. I think your body and mind are responding to the horrible situation you're in. My god, it all sounds so boring, annoying, stifling. I'm getting itchy all over just reading this. You're really trying to lay down your life, at 22, for someone you don't even truly enjoy being around. Come on, leave. You speak of him as if he's a dog his last legs, as if you owe it to him to ensure that he's comfortable in his sunset years. The man is 39. He's in the prime of his life and has decades ahead of him. Survived 35 years without you, he'll survive 35 more, even if he has to deal with being sad for a while. And you definitely don't owe him a child, especially since men can have children at pretty much any age. Do not have a baby with this guy. The reason he can't get a girl his own age is because he is a loser. Dude sounds clingy and annoying and emotionally stunted. Go enjoy your life. That dude needs therapy. Leave, you won't regret it. The only thing you will regret is that you didn't do it earlier. PM'd me if you need help. Am I, 35 meters, too close with my family? Hi, seeking some advice. A couple of friends have commented my family is clingy and I'm in a relationship with them. I'm single after being dumped 6 months ago. My family is ethnic, so being close is important. I usually see my sister and brother and parents at least once a week for dinner. I'll occasionally catch up again with my parents on the weekend where I need some help with my house repairs / gardening. Usually keep informal texts going with my sister and bro during the week. We always celebrate each other's birthdays. I rarely call any of them though to have long chats or anything, given we see each other regularly. What do you think? It's left me wondering if I need to spend more time apart and invest time elsewhere. I will add that of those two friends, one lives in a different state to their parents who are divorced. The other has an estranged relationship with their dad. Too long didn't read. Not sure if I'm too close to my family as we catch up every WK minimum, and if it's affecting my life in general. Thanks. Do they consider your family clingy just because they're away you see them 1 to 2 times a week? Or is it based on anything like prioritizing the regular family time over some event with friends? Basically, why do they care? Does it impact them? Did it impact your partner when you were in a relationship? Basically, why do they care? Does it impact them? Did it impact your partner when you were in a relationship? I think they are coming from a perspective of, it's impacting my dating and life. However, I'm not sure that's the case. My ex's mum was out of town and I'd argue it wasn't a very functional relationship. They even stopped talking for months due to some sort of argument. Her parents had split up. The main source of friction was going to birthday celebrations. She wasn't used to that. My family understood that when I was in a relationship I was generally less available. They never show up to my house unannounced, or attacked me for not calling back etc., or anything like that, which would strike me as clingy. But guess that friend kind of rattled me. You're living the dream. Do you know how many of us want to get along with our families like you do? It sounds like you have a really healthy relationship with your family, and totally normal for ethnic families with good relationships. It sounds like your friends are just not used to having a close family, or maybe they're even jealous. I wouldn't worry about it at all, but if your friends keep making more comments I would try to explain how family is in your culture, and that you have healthy boundaries and they're important to your life. I spend at least an hour taking to my parents on the phone each week, and I would meet up with them if it wasn't for COVID. I also see my grandparents and babysit my younger cousin multiple times a week because we're in a COVID bubble together. All families have different ideas of healthy relationships. As long as it isn't interfering with your life and other relationships, I don't understand why your friends would find them too clingy. Before the pandemic, me and my partner would see our families once a week. He would play golf all day with his dad at the weekend and I would go and see my mum. We both text our siblings every day. I spend an hour on the phone talking to my mum at least once a week. We are both in our 30s. I love the fact he loves his family and likes seeing them. Family are the most important thing in the world. Well, before I started reading this, I expected something more out of the ordinary. But you just described a normal level of closeness. I understand that some people don't have strong bonds with their family members, so their vision about what's normal is kind of skewed. You are in a relationship with your family, haha, isn't what mature adults say. So, I wouldn't give their words too much merit. Same. I was waiting for my mom/dad comes to my apartment every day, makes my bed and waits for me to come home sort of situation. My flatmate asked me to reduce the amount of meat I eat in the flat. How should I feel about this? Too long didn't read. Is it a big ask that my flatmate asks me to reduce the amount of meat I eat, when she knew before she moved in that it was a meat-eating flat share? Live in an 8-person political flat share, with half meat eaters and half vegetarians, plus 1 vegan. Before moving in 6 years ago I was informed we are allowed to cook and eat meat in the flat, but the purchase of it on a communal budget is not allowed, which is fine by me. I buy my own or bring leftovers from work. My flatmate had an outburst at me the other week for something really menial, so I approached her to talk today because I had a feeling it was about something else. She says it was actually because she can't handle the amount of meat I cook in the house and that another flatmate shares this view also. I was in a good mood and said I would be fine to try to come to a compromise with her, but later am questioning if I should have stood my ground more and explained the fact that she knew before she moved in that these were the rules and she might have to deal with this when she moved in. I'm feeling kind of okay about it now and imagining I could maybe change my habits somehow, but on one hand I really love to cook a joint of something on the weekend with my GF or cook up the leftovers from work. It's a big part of my life. I work on rotisserie in a Michelin star restaurant, so my job is literally butchering and cooking fish and meat, which I am really passionate about.